Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're all about making you smarter, faster, and what better way to do that than by tapping into the wisdom of books. Today, we'll be summarizing, analyzing, and reviewing Tiago Forte's Building a Second Brain. So if you're looking to optimize your thinking and unleash your creative potential, this deep dive is for you.
Right.
But before we get started, don't forget to check out the episode description for links to download study notes from the book and the audiobook itself. Plus, we've got a Telegram group where you can connect with other knowledge enthusiasts and dive even deeper into the discussion.
Oh, nice.
The link for that is in the description, too. And, of course, if you're enjoying the show, hit that like button and share it with your friends.
Of course.
All right, let's unpack this idea of a second brain.
Sure.
What exactly is it, and why should you even care?
So it's not about growing an extra brain, thankfully. It's more like creating a personalized external system to help you manage the flood of information we all face every day. Think of it as an extension of your memory.
Okay.
A carefully curated collection of your thoughts, ideas, and the most valuable knowledge you come across.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I struggle with information overload.
Yeah.
How does building a second brain address that differently from other productivity methods out there?
What's fascinating here is that it's not just about getting things done. It's about becoming a more effective thinker. It's about shifting from simply consuming information to actively processing it. And using it to generate new ideas and make better decisions.
Well, it's not just a to-do list on steroids.
Not at all. It's more about building a system that supports your thinking process. Forte introduces this really practical method called CODE, which stands for Capture, Organize, Develop, and Evaluate. And this isn't just a linear process. It's a cycle where you're constantly refining and building upon your knowledge.
All right, let's break down this CODE method a bit further. Let's start with capture. This isn't just about saving every article or quote we see online, right? What does it mean to capture information intentionally?
That's a key point. It's about being selective and focusing on what truly resonates with you. Ask yourself, how can I use this information? What connections can I make? Does this align with my goals and interests? It's about curating a collection of valuable knowledge that you can actually put to work.
That makes a lot of sense. But with so much information coming at us from all directions, how do you even begin to capture it effectively? Do you have any personal tips or favorite tools for capturing those fleeting thoughts and insights?
I'm a big fan of using a combination of digital and analog tools. For me, it's about having a system that's both flexible and accessible. I might jot down a quick note on my phone, then later transfer it to a more permanent note-taking app where I can expand on the idea. Sometimes just the act of physically writing something down helps solidify it in my memory.
I can relate to that. Sometimes I feel like I need to physically write things down to truly grasp them. But beyond capturing the book, also dives into this idea of progressive summarization, which honestly sounds a little intimidating. Can you demystify that for our listener?
It's not as complicated as it sounds. It's basically about creating layers of understanding. Let's say you're reading an article. You start by highlighting the key points. Then you summarize those highlights in your own words, creating a more concise version. And finally, you create an even shorter summary, capturing the essence of the entire article in just a few sentences.
So you're essentially distilling the information down to its most valuable essence. It sounds like a great way to combat information overload and ensure you're actually absorbing what you're reading.
Exactly.
But at what point do you decide what information is worthy of capturing and summarizing in the first place? That feels like a crucial step in the process. What are your thoughts on that?
It comes down to developing a sense of what's truly valuable and relevant to you. This is where the book's emphasis on purpose and focus comes in. It's about aligning your information gathering with your goals and interests.
So you're saying it's not just about hoarding information, but about curating a collection that serves your specific needs and aspirations.
Exactly. Now, another concept the book introduces is something called the Zettelkasten method. Have you ever had that aha moment where you connect an idea from a book you read months ago to something you just learned?
Oh, absolutely. It's like those unexpected connections that spark new insights.
Is
that what the Zettelkasten method is all about?
Precisely. It's a system for creating a network of interconnected notes designed to foster those aha moments and help you generate new ideas by making connections between seemingly disparate pieces of information.
I love that. It sounds like a powerful tool for anyone who wants to tap into their Creative potential.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, does this system only work if you're already a highly organized person?
That's a great question.
What if you're someone who struggles with keeping track of things?
Sure.
Can you still benefit from building a second brain?
Absolutely. And that's where the book's emphasis on personalizing the system comes in.
Okay.
It's not about rigidly following a set of rules. It's about finding the tools and techniques that work best for you.
So it's about adapting the system to fit your unique needs and workflow.
Exactly. Welcome back to our deep dive into building a second brain. In the last part, we explored the core concepts of capturing information intentionally and progressively summarizing it to distill its essence.
Right.
Let's shift our focus to how you actually organize all this valuable knowledge you're accumulating.
Okay, so we've captured all these brilliant ideas. Now what? Where do we put them so we can actually find them when we need them?
Right.
The book talks about this idea of treating our notes almost like raw materials.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
It's a great analogy. Think of a chef who doesn't just pile ingredients haphazardly in their kitchen. They organize them in a way that makes sense so they can quickly access what they need when they're creating a dish.
Right.
Similarly, our notes shouldn't just be dumped into a digital abyss. They need to be organized in a way that makes them easily retrievable and usable.
So how do we avoid creating a chaotic digital junk drawer? What are some practical strategies for organizing all this raw material?
The book introduces a really helpful framework called PRA, which stands for Projects, Areas, Resources, and Archives.
Okay.
It's a system for categorizing your notes based on their purpose and level of activity.
Okay, that sounds promising.
Yeah.
Let's unpack this PRA method a bit. What goes into each of these categories?
Think of it like a set of nested folders. Projects are for, well, your active projects. These are the things you're currently working on with clear deadlines and outcomes. For example, launch a new website or write a blog post.
Makes sense. So projects is where you keep all the notes and resources directly related to those specific endeavors. What about areas?
Areas represent the different spheres of your life or work. They're broader categories that are ongoing, not tied to specific deadlines. Think health, finances, personal growth, or relationships.
So projects are like sprints and areas are like marathons.
That's a great way to put it. Now, resources are the information you gather that's relevant to your areas of interest. This could be articles, books, podcasts, videos, anything that feeds your curiosity and helps you expand your knowledge in a particular area.
So resources are like the fuel for your areas. And finally, we have archives. What role do they play in the system?
Archives are your long-term storage. This is where you move completed projects and resources that you might want to revisit in the future.
Okay.
Think of it like a library housing valuable information that's not currently active but could be useful down the road.
Okay, so to recap, we have projects for current work areas, for ongoing responsibilities, resources for relevant information, and archives for long-term storage. It's like a multi-layered system for organizing your knowledge based on its purpose and relevance.
You got it. And the beauty of PRA is that it's flexible and adaptable.
Right.
You can adjust the categories to fit your specific needs and workflow.
Right.
It's not about rigidly adhering to a set structure, but rather finding what makes sense for you.
I love that emphasis on personalization.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off trying to fit into a pre-defined mold.
Yeah.
But speaking of organization, I'm curious, what are your favorite tools and techniques for keeping your second brain tidy and efficient?
Sure.
Do you have any go-to apps or strategies?
I've experimented with a lot of different tools over the years, and I've found that what works best is a combination of digital and analog methods. I use a note-taking app for capturing and organizing most of my notes.
Right.
But I also have a physical notebook where I jot down ideas and do some initial brainstorming. I find that the act of physically writing things down can spark different connections and help me process information in a more holistic way.
That's interesting. It seems like a lot of people are rediscovering the power of pen and paper in this digital age. But I imagine it can be challenging to keep track of notes scattered across different platforms.
Right.
How do you ensure you're not losing valuable insights in the shuffle?
That's where having a clear system for tagging and linking your notes becomes crucial.
Okay.
I use a combination of keywords, hashtags, and even visual cues to connect related ideas and make it easier to retrieve information later on.
So it's almost like creating a web of knowledge where everything is interconnected and easily searchable.
Exactly. It's not just about storing information, it's about making it accessible and usable when you need it most.
Right.
And that's where the real power of a second brain lies.
This is where I think things start to get really exciting. It's not just about being organized, it's about leveraging this organized knowledge to become more creative and effective in everything you do.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. We'll delve into specific strategies for using your second brain to solve problems, generate new ideas, and unlock your full creative potential.
Okay.
But before we move on, I'm curious to hear from our listeners. What are your favorite note-taking apps or organizational tools?
Yeah.
Drop your recommendations in the comments. We're always on the lookout for new ways to optimize our own second brains.
That's a great idea. Let's tap into the collective wisdom of our audience and see what tools and techniques they're using to build their own personal knowledge powerhouses. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into building a second brain. In the previous parts, we covered the foundations of capturing, summarizing, and organizing information. Now let's explore how you can actually use this system to enhance your creative thinking, problem-solving ability.
This is where it gets really exciting.
Right.
We're moving beyond just storing information and stepping into the realm of actively using it to generate new ideas and solve real-world problems.
So how does a second brain actually help you become a better thinker? Can you give us some concrete examples?
Imagine you're facing a creative block, a challenging problem at work, or even a personal dilemma. Instead of staring at a blank page or going down an internet rabbit hole, you can turn to your second brain. It's like having a personalized consultant on call 24/7, but instead of paying hefty fees, you've already curated the knowledge base.
I love that analogy.
Right?
So how would you actually use your second brain in a situation like that?
Let's say you're writing a blog post and you're struggling to find a fresh angle. You can search your second brain for notes on similar topics, relevant articles you've saved, or even quotes that sparked an idea in the past. By reviewing your existing knowledge, you might discover a connection or an insight you hadn't considered before.
It's like having a brainstorming session with your past self.
Exactly.
But instead of sifting through dusty old notebooks, you have this searchable, organized system at your fingertips.
Precisely. And it's not just about finding existing solutions. One of the most powerful aspects of building a second brain is this idea of remixing.
Right.
Taking bits and pieces of information from different sources and weaving them together into something new and valuable.
This remixing idea really resonates with me.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how chefs create new dishes by combining familiar ingredients in unexpected ways. It's like having a mental Lego set where you can constantly build and rebuild ideas using the knowledge you've accumulated.
That's a great analogy. And the more you feed your second brain, the richer your Lego set becomes, giving you more building blocks for innovation.
Now, I know a lot of our listeners are creatives, writers, artists, entrepreneurs.
Right.
How can a second brain specifically help them unlock their creative potential and overcome those dreaded moments of feeling stuck?
What's fascinating about a second brain is that it acts as a safety net for your creativity.
Okay.
Those random sparks of inspiration, the fleeting thoughts you have in the shower or on a walk, they don't vanish into thin air anymore. Right.
You capture them, you nurture them, and they become part of your creative arsenal, ready to be accessed and combined with other ideas when the time is right.
So no more, I had a brilliant idea, but I forgot it moments. That's a relief.
Right.
But I imagine it still takes effort to translate those captured ideas into tangible creations. How does a second brain help bridge that gap between inspiration and action?
That's where the organization and reflection aspects come into play.
Okay.
By regularly reviewing your notes, making connections, and looking for patterns, you start to see the bigger picture. You might notice recurring themes or surprising links between seemingly unrelated ideas. Those moments of insight are where true creative breakthroughs happen.
So it's not just about collecting information, it's about actively engaging with it, reflecting on it.
Right.
And allowing it to spark new connections and possibilities.
Exactly. Building a second brain is about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, exploration, and continuous learning.
It's about training your mind to be constantly on the lookout for interesting ideas, making connections, and seeing the world through a lens of possibility.
And that, I think, is what makes building a second brain such a powerful concept.
Yeah.
It's not just about productivity, it's about personal growth and expanding your intellectual horizons.
I couldn't agree more. It's about becoming a more curious, insightful, and innovative thinker.
This has been such an enlightening conversation.
I agree.
I'm feeling inspired to revisit my own second brain and see how I can apply these principles to my own work and creative projects.
Me too.
But before we wrap up, I want to hear from our listeners.
Sure.
Have you started building your own second brain? What are your biggest takeaways from this deep dive? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories.
Absolutely. We're all on this journey of knowledge and creativity together, and we can learn so much from each other's experiences.
So, dear listener, here's your challenge. What's one small step you can take today to start building your own second brain? Maybe it's downloading a note-taking app, creating a simple folder system, or just committing to writing down those fleeting ideas that pop into your head. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
And who knows that one small step might just lead you to a world of creative breakthroughs, innovative solutions, and a lifetime of continuous learning.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into building a second brain. Remember, knowledge is power, and organizing that knowledge is like unlocking a superpower. Until next time, happy learning and keep those brains buzzing.